Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I recently attended a WASD, or WASD, or however you pronounce it, at the Truman Brewery in London on the 14th of September. The event was a great place to meet creators and industry professionals, and there were around 60 games to play. I spoke with a few nice people during my visit, so have a look.
This is a little to the left. It's a cozy, wholesome, tidy-up puzzle game. It's all about organizing your household items while there is a mischievous little cat who likes to play with your household items. It's available on PC, MacBook, and Nintendo Switch, and there's DLC available on all of the platforms as well, and that adds an extra 25 levels. So yeah.
The slight background on Evercade is we're a retro gaming system that's been built from the idea of recreating the classic gaming experience. So when you had the game back in the past, you would have a full colour manual that came with it. It was a physical cartridge. It wasn't just an empty box with a disc or anything like that. So we've made efforts to sort of bring back that experience and bring the opportunity to license games and bring them to people officially. So you don't have to go online, there's no downloads, it's all physical, it's all legal, and we take all of the headache out of emulating the game out of it from people. So things like arcades, you don't have to go through lots of difficult setup. Things like home computer and Amiga, you don't have to go through all the pain in the backside of making all that work. Duke Nukem 1 and 2 Remastered is actually a little bit further along from that because we recreated it from the ground up. It is our own remaster. We worked with Gearbox to acquire the rights to license, and we created this project for them. So these two games have kind of been lost in time. 91 and 93 they were both released, and the history of Duke is probably well known to quite a few people. So we made all this from scratch where we could really bring back those original platformers, which our chief technical officer, is his baby. He used to play it with his dad on PC, and everybody I've spoken to about it has a similar story of how they were introduced to Duke, and sometimes it was through 3D, but for the most part it was through these platformers. So this package is great. It's exclusive to Evercade, and yeah, it all comes on a physical cartridge that you can just take either on a VS console for your home, or onto the EXP if you want to take it on the move, or even onto the new compatible Super Pockets when they release later this year. So yeah, so we've got that, and then we round off the whole collection of things by doing more from the Duke franchise. So Duke Nukem 3D Total Meltdown was the PS1 edition of the game. That hasn't been re-released since it first came out, and there's an entire episode in there of exclusive levels which isn't on any other release. So we're bringing something back that has been lost to time effectively in that. The other two PlayStation games, Duke Nukem Time to Kill and Land of the Babes, are very much episodes of their time, but bring that third-person adventure that became so popular in the mid to late 90s into the Duke universe. And the technically outstanding Duke Nukem Advance, which uses a lot of the assets from 3D, but in its own story, which is completely unique and done for a 32-bit handheld console, which is far and away one of the best 3D effect ones of that era, and it plays so well even now. Years later, it holds up.
What brought on the Alien Hominid invasion? Where does it compare to the older version? Is it a remake, or is it a...
It's a bit of a reimagination. While it is like complete, we don't necessarily do sequels, it does give insight on what happened to the original Alien after the end events of the first game. So we get to kind of see what happens, and we're going to explore the lore of this world a little bit more.
Okay, so I mean, obviously the first game was made in Flash, so presumably things have changed a bit since then. obviously more development. Were you involved in the older version of the game?
I was not. I joined the company during BattleBlock Theater, so it's been a minute. The game had been around, but I owned the game on like PS2, so it was exciting for me to like I wasn't ever certain if I would get to play in this world yet, so to participate is pretty neat. As you said, it started in Flash, but then at one point when the company was formed, it was brought from console, or it was brought to the console at the time, PS2, GameCube, etc., and then later Xbox 360. So it was kind of disappearing off of modern consoles, and that was the kind of the idea at the beginning of all this was, how do we preserve Alien Hominid? Let's bring it to modern consoles for new generations and onto Steam as well, just so people who maybe don't have a 360 or Xbox can still have access to the game.
So obviously you said it's like a bit of a reimagining, so features-wise, is there anything particularly new in this? Obviously it's a modern day thing, but does something jump out as being the main selling point?
Yeah, loads. First and foremost, no more one-hit kills. You now have a health bar. The original is notorious for being an extremely difficult game, so now there's a whole life system. The original was a bit more linear, an old-school arcade scroller left to right. This one, you could go left, right, up, down, a lot more verticality. Also, there is an overhead city map, which you can choose your pathing, how you get to the enemy headquarters and to the eventual boss level. A lot more customization between weapons, different heads, and different boosts. And then lastly, 4-player, local and online 4-player.
Fantastic, cool, brilliant, thanks, cheers.